Hi, everybody. Tom Van Hoy with this week's edition of the Pitt State Track and Field Insider Show with Pitt State men and women's head coach Russ Jewett. Gorillas a highly successful indoor season. Men won the MIAA championship. Coach Jewett named men's MIAA Indoor Coach of the Year. Several solid performances in the Division II Indoor Championships in Winston-Salem as well. Pitt State to host that championship in 2016 and again 2018 in the new Indoor Events Center, which is currently being built. The Pitt State outdoor track and field season begins Saturday with the Wendy's PSU Invitational. 10 outdoor opportunities this year before the Division II National Championships in Allendale, Michigan in late May. The MIAA Championships this year, May 2nd through 4th at Lincoln University in Jefferson City. Here's Russ Jewett on preparation for the upcoming outdoor season.
Well, it depends on who we're talking about. Some individuals are in really good shape and then can transition to outdoor and regain at least that same fitness by the end of the outdoor season. And there, we have a few that dealt with injuries or other kind of interruptions in training that are still building. So the fitness curve, if you want to call it that, is different for some. But most of our men's and women's teams are in pretty good base shape and can still put some peak on fitness.
Now, from a training standpoint, let's just take, 60 meters versus 100 meters, something like that. And, distance is a little bit different as well. Does it change how you train now?
Not really, not because the events change. That training specifically for a short sprint, no different for 60 than for 100. Even like for the long distance, you've got the longest race indoors is 5 kilometers, 5,000 meters, and outdoors, those same folks will run 10,000 meters, twice the distance. But the training, because of the physiology involved, really is very slightly different, but not much at all.
Will you have some athletes that didn't participate indoors do so outdoors?
Sure, we've got quite a few athletes, men's and women's teams. Some that are just javelin throwers, I guess primarily is who we're talking about, and some that don't get to compete in their favorite or their best event indoors. We have some 400 hurdlers that we don't have that event indoors or anything like it, and they'll get to shine a little more outdoors. The 4x100, something you don't get to do indoors, and it's an exciting race that particularly our men's team has done fairly well with recently. So it's a different sport without question, and there's some that don't get to compete indoors that do outdoors.
Well, your men win the indoor championship in the MIAA. Before we talk a little bit about that, I just want to backtrack a bit, and because we haven't talked to you since the indoor national championships, and you had some young men and women that performed pretty well for you.
Yeah, we did. I was really pleased with. We have a freshman pole vaulter, Heather Glenn, and we don't usually. I'm not one to pat freshmen on the back, for being good for a freshman, but this young lady that's an intense competitor and did unusually well at the national championships, tied for 4th in the pole vault as a freshman. That's pretty good. I don't see it very often. Of course, Jess Macy, great performance in the 5,000 meters for a 3rd place, and the other 2 ladies that went competed well as well. And our men, I think we ended up 14th place as a team with the points that we scored. Jeff Piepenbrink went for a victory in the pole vault. He was down on misses at the very end of the competition, ended up 2nd, but really competed great, and really proud of him. Stephen Mann, what a guy. Southeast Kansas kid, and Jeff's a Southwest Missouri kid, local kid's doing great at our national championship. Stephen was 5th in the long jump, and Andre Sanders, guy that just came in at semester for us, a dual sport kid that Coach Rutledge found and recruited and got to come to Pitt State, 7th place in the hurdles for a couple of points. So pretty good outing.
How about, was it a little bit disappointing that Marquise Brown was fouled on a couple of attempts?
Well, a little bit disappointing is underrating it. I think he and I think Coach Brown were very disappointed, and Marquise just had some trouble on the board. He was jumping really far, but he jumped 47 feet, and I think he was probably a foot behind the board, so he's leaving almost 2 feet out there that you can't measure, and he fouled a couple of times. So, yeah, it was disappointing that he didn't make the final there, but he'll bounce back.
Will you get Keenan Souls back at all, or was that a serious knee injury indoors?
That was a serious knee injury. He has had reconstructive surgery to repair his ACL, so it's one of those that'll be a while. We'll be fortunate to have him back for next indoor season, I think.
Well, no pressure on you, Coach Jewett, as your men have back-to-back outdoor championships in the MIAA. How do you look this year on the men's?
Well, it really hurts emotionally more than anything, and point-wise too, not having Keenan, but I think we're past that, and he's helped the kids get past that. But winning the championship indoor without him, I think gave our kids some confidence. And it is different outdoors. It's a different sport, and the target's even more on this team's back. But we're trying to remember that there's other teams out there that certainly are at least as good as us talent-wise, and we got to keep working hard, and harder to stay on top of the hill than it is to get there. All those cliches you hear, and they all have some element of truth to them. But we feel pretty good, I think.
Where will your strengths be this year on the men's side?
You know, Tom, we're really pretty balanced. It's I try not to be a guy with a glass half empty thing, but we have a couple of weak areas. You know, we're not going to be real strong in the long distances, probably without Adam Volkert, who just had indoor eligibility, so he's finished. And then the high jump, we don't really have a pure high jumper. So, but I think we're going to be deep in the throws, and one event, the 400 hurdles, we seem to have, I don't know that we've got a national qualifier there, but we've got several guys that could score well in that event. Gosh, we've got 8 javelin throwers, I think. So we've got pretty good balance. There's a couple areas where it's going to be hard for us to score, but we've got some other areas that are pretty strong. And then the throws is certainly probably right at the top.
Does it change much? And I know you and I talked a little bit about this earlier in the year, outdoor versus indoor, moving from indoor to outdoor in long jump, triple jump, some of the field events, and some of the things that you do indoors. The conditions are better indoors. Does it change very much outdoors?
Well, that's a great question. It does change. Yeah, you have to deal with wind, cold, sometimes precipitation, and those are all factors that you either adjust to or you fail in your performance. So you don't have to deal with those indoors. Now, sometimes those factors help your performance. If you've got a nice little tailwind behind you in the long jump, you're moving faster because of that when you get to the takeoff board. If you can get on the board, you can jump farther. So sometimes you see athletes do better outdoor, and sometimes it's because of that, but also it could be because they're just in a better shape, better fitness level because they've had more time to train. But indoor, you see probably more consistency, especially in field events. But outdoor, you deal with the elements. But that's what we love about outdoor track and field. You know.
So does that separate? Does the mental aspect come into it a little bit more outdoors because of those weather conditions?
There's no doubt about it. It does. You know, you get to a competition, especially one that's important, and it's cold and rainy, you know, and you're a quarter miler, let's say. It's a lot easier to run inside, even with tighter turns, when it's 70 degrees, no wind, than windy, rainy. And it makes it hard to concentrate. You're right. I think there is a factor there that separates the really good competitors, the mentally tough athletes, from those who are less so.
Yeah, I still think it's pretty amazing because most of us be driving along in our car with the heater on, and you'll see a guy out there in a singlet, you know. Like,
yeah.
What? Pretty tough. Some of those guys are tougher, and women are tougher than you think sometimes, huh?
Oh, yeah, certainly. And some of, you know, especially our middle distance and distance runners, if it gets up to, you know, 45 degrees, then they're peeling the shirt off on the last rep or two. They just, I don't know.
Hey, what I want to ask you about the women's strengths and so forth in just a moment outdoors. But when you talked about prevailing wind, what is, from a sprinting standpoint, what is the max it can be? And then, because sometimes when it was blowing too hard, it doesn't count in terms of timing and qualifying, things like that. Is there a limit there?
Yeah, there are actually two standards. The standard for us, the limit for us in terms of a mark that is legally qualified to nationals, is 4.0 meters per second. It's about 10-mile-an-hour wind. It's not a real stiff wind. I mean, you can have a moderate wind and run fast and have it not count. For record purposes, for an NCAA record or in the elite level, the Olympic records, 2.0 meters per second is the limit. And that just goes for the 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, triple jump. Those are and the 110 hurdles and 100 hurdles. Those are the events that definitely get aid from the wind. So,
okay. I mean, I guess you have something that you officially, you know, like a windsock or something. I mean,
yeah, every meet you have to have wind gauges. Yeah, you know, you see some guy down by the track licking his finger and sticking it up in the air, making a guess.
Yeah, no, I think there's. Yeah. What was the time there? Yeah, like 9.8. Yeah, I think it was good. Yeah. As far as your women's team, how do you look this year?
Well, pretty balanced there too. I'd say it's similar analogy in terms of we don't have great balance on the women's team, and perfect balance, I should say. We have a pretty good balance. There's a couple areas that'll be tough for us. Our strength, will probably be the throws as an event group. But, we can score in just about every event on the women's side. We've got a couple of pretty good long-distance runners that in the 5 and the 10,000 should be able to, be a strength for the team. And our pole vaulters certainly going to be there. We've got a couple of combined events, a couple of heptathletes that we think can, provide some strength there. So nothing that really, we don't dominate in any event area really on either side at our conference level, but pretty strong in most.
As you get set for the outdoor season, how do you feel both teams will compete in the MIAA this year?
Well, it's a tough conference. It's a lot of balance on the men's side particularly, and we know that we'll get a lot of opposition from the likes of Nebraska Carnie and Missouri Southern and Central Missouri on the men's side. Even Emporia State can be tough at times. So, but I think we're well matched there. We've got to get the job done in training and stay healthy. That might be the biggest key, really, is to keep your scores healthy while still reaching peak performance. On the women's side, we our mission every year, we talk about it. We don't set goals ahead of a season that are anything other than winning a championship. That's our mission, if you will. And once we get to the championship, you can figure out how realistic that might be. But that's our mission right now, is to win a championship. And you got to go through Lincoln University to do that, and literally this year, because that's where the outdoor championship is. And obviously Missouri Southern very strong this year. But we feel like we can be among the top challenging for a championship in both genders.
Tell us what's coming up this weekend.
We host our season opener here with the Wendy's/Pittsburgh State Invitational. We actually have a combined event. We're going to have a heptathlon on Friday and Saturday. Then Saturday is the primary part of the meet. Noon with field events, 3 o'clock for running events. Be a medium-sized meet, about the right size for an opener, and we're excited. It looks like the weather might be decent.
Yeah. Well, I can remember back in the day standing. I mean, I'm a big track guy. I love that, and the one thing I like about it too is if you take the high school, for example, and I know you're going to have the guerrilla relays coming up. It doesn't matter whether you're 1A, 6A, you're still going to run 100 meters.
It's the same for everybody, and the other cool thing about our sport, even at our level, is occasionally you can line up right next to the best guy in Division I. That doesn't happen a lot, but it's possible, and you don't really see that in many other sports, so it's pretty cool.
So later on, you get the 28th annual Jock. I can't believe that's 28 years, Russ. That's pretty good. And then it's in the 6th annual Dave Syndrome Gorilla Classic as well. So you have a couple of opportunities at Carnie Smith Stadium there for people to come out and take a look at the teams this year. Yeah, and it's a great place to watch any sporting event. And, most people are familiar with it as a football venue, which it is, but it's been a track and field competition site for just as long, and it's got a lot of tradition and history there. And there'll be some great competition, good competition this weekend, and I think even better competition in 2 weeks when we host those two meets. Great to see all those high school athletes from, really from probably the 150 or 200 mile radius come and compete here. You've got great atmosphere. You've got the big Jungletron there that makes a track meet even more special, I think, for spectators and for competitors. Hey, before we wrap it up here, just one final thought on the indoor season, because the national championship is coming to Pittsburgh at Pitt State in a couple of years. Learn anything from Winston-Salem when you were out there? Well, I always pay attention, I think, but I took copious notes this time. Some of it was what will we do differently and what are they doing well, and others just detailed stuff we don't want to miss. But, yeah, definitely eyes wide open, paid attention, and next winter will be even more so, and I think our administrators are probably going to travel down to Birmingham and get a real detailed look just for experience purposes. We're definitely getting ready now. That's Pitt State head coach Russ Jewett on this edition of the PSU Outdoor Track and Field Insider Show. Season does begin Saturday, Carnie Smith Stadium, with the Wendy's PSU Invitational. Also this year, on April 11th, the 28th annual Jocks Niche PSU Guerrilla Relays at Carnie Smith Stadium, high school teams there. And then the following day, the 6th annual Dave Syndrome Gorilla Classic. Hope you'll join us here each week to talk Pitt State Outdoor Track and Field this year. I'm Tom Van Hoy.